In this video, I'm going to teach you the cost of living in Portland, Oregon versus our neighbor to the north, Seattle, Washington. So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? This is Jackson Ray Wilkey with the Real Agent Now group right here in the Portland Metro. If this is your first time to this channel, we're doing so many videos about what it's like to live, eat, work, sleep, play right here in the Portland Metro in Southwest Washington. If you have not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel and tap that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. We are honestly helping people from all around the world who are relocating here, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking of moving or relocating here, make sure that you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even send the pigeon carrier. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Portland, Oregon. Now, we are licensed in Washington, so we can help you in Seattle too. But let's talk about one of the biggest questions we get is the cost of living and some pros and cons about living in Seattle versus Portland. Now, it's only 3 hours apart. They're two of the biggest Northwest cities with a ton of similarities, but the cost of living in one of them is actually quite a bit higher. So on all the research that I did, the national average, the Census Bureau puts everything at 100 would be absolute median. So 100 is like the middle of the road. And when it comes to that, Portland, Oregon, with all of the cost of living, with housing and with all your utility bills, all of that combined, it puts Portland, Oregon at a 146. So it is above the national average, which is not a surprise by any means. But compared to Seattle, the overall cost of living there is 207, putting it above Portland, Oregon. Now, one of the examples in there, when I started punching in the cost of living calculators, if you made $120,000 a year in Portland, Oregon, you would have to make $166,000 a year up in Seattle to have the same living. That's how much more expensive it is. And where do the expenses come? Because the utilities and a lot of that is almost the same. It's the housing. That is the big shocker. When you look at the overall median, middle of the road for housing, Portland, Oregon comes in at a 229, but that is compared to a whopping 407 for Seattle, Washington. The median price for a home here in Portland, Oregon is around $435,000. Obviously, depending on the area, but that can get you a great home here. But in Seattle, being at 407, their median home price is over $760,000. Okay, so the house prices are what are driving up the prices in both Portland and Seattle, but you're basically getting half the house in Seattle that you'd get in Portland. So that could be a big factor in the type of home you want to get and live in. So if you're gonna go to Seattle with the same budget, you're not gonna get the same size of house. So just be prepared for that. All right, so one of the biggest factors between the cost of living in Seattle versus Portland is just your overall expenses, from obviously your housing to groceries to childcare. And I wanna just start rattling off a bunch of statistics of what those costs are. Just your day-to-day consumer prices in Portland, Oregon are 9.6% cheaper than those over in Seattle, Washington. And even the average restaurant and grocery prices are anywhere from 13 to 10% cheaper in Portland as well. One of the things that caught my eye too is the childcare, because I already thought the childcare in Portland was expensive enough. The average monthly childcare bill for Seattle, Washington is right around $1,600 a month, whereas here in Portland is around $1,100 to $1,200 a month. So when you're talking about an annual expense, it's right around $23,000 to $24,000 a year in Seattle, whereas here in Portland you're going to be about $16,000 to $17,000. So a $6,000 to $7,000 a year savings in childcare is quite a big number to me. So obviously we deal with homes, but the rental prices in Seattle, Washington, downtown for a 3-bedroom can be almost $4,000 a month. Obviously, outside of it, there's considerably cheaper areas. I saw, as low as $25,000 to $3,000 a month. In Portland, 3-bedroom. In fact, when I looked at the data, the raw numbers, around $2,600 a month in some of the most popular areas. And outside of that, the $1,600 to $1,800 range for rent. But a mortgage can be right around that area too. So if you want to build equity and not pay somebody else. So yeah, if you're going to be spending that money on rent, you might as well be putting it into a mortgage that you can get some equity into. But when it comes to overall utilities, actually Seattle and Portland rank below the average. Portland comes in at 80, and Seattle's right at 70. So it's actually a touch cheaper with your just local utilities in Seattle, just by a skosh. But your overall health costs are also below national average, and both of those are coming in right around 80. So with the national average again at 100, those two, your utilities and your health cares, they're actually below the average. So the housing is what's spiking it up a little bit. And then when it comes to transportation, in Seattle, you're going to see an index of 160, where Portland's right around 140. So it's quite a bit less to, ride the public transportation around here in the Portland metro. So then let's jump over and we'll kind of talk about the differences of Portland and Seattle. So they both hold very big companies. All right, so I went over the cost of living. Obviously, Portland is considerably cheaper. It looks like the annual, income, you make more money in Seattle, so there's some higher paying jobs. But let's talk about the lifestyles, and this is not coming from me. This is just what I've read. They actually say that the Portland lifestyle is way more chill and relaxed. I think there's more of a business sense over in the Seattle area that has people more in a rush. So, like I said in one of the other videos, this is actually rated as one of the most chilled and laid back cities in the entire nation. And in fact, Oregon itself is ranked as the #1 state where people said they feel most content with life. So being so close to one another, they're going to be very similar. You're going to have a lot of really cool restaurants and food carts, bars, walkable scenes. I do know, living in that downtown Seattle area, I have a lot of friends there. They say it's just ridiculous expensive. I've been to Seattle too. Some of those roads are straight up and down and hilly. And you're right on the coast. So they say the rain there is the exact same as Portland, like 37 inches or so a year. But I do know, being right on the water there, they do get a lot more rain per year. We're close enough to the coast to go enjoy it, but we're still, an hour and a half away from the coast. So that's a big deal when you think about rain. If you're right on that ocean, you can gather a lot more rain than if you're inland a ways. They both have a lot of the same going on with a cool downtown scene and suburbs on the outside. But yeah, as for your cost of living, Portland is going to be considerably cheaper, almost in every single regard. So we have the Silicon Forest popping, that's on the west side, with tech companies blowing up like crazy. Our huge medical industry with all the nurses and doctors. There's a lot of growth growing in Portland, and where you can make just about the same money, but your cost of living is in half. So those are factors. I know Seattle's got a lot of pros to it too. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed that video. We do so many videos about what it's like to live, sleep, walk, play right here in the Portland metro in Southwest Washington. If you have not yet, make sure you tap that subscribe button. Click that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. And honestly, people, we're helping so many people move here, and we absolutely love it. We're getting phone calls every day helping people make their dreams come true. And if you are thinking about moving, relocating here to the Portland metro or Southwest Washington, make sure you give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even send the pigeon carrier. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when moving to Portland, Oregon. And until that next video, we'll catch you later.